Now we're recording. So we're going to start on his eye. Before I do too much in here, I want to establish where the cornea is going to be. Okay? So it's kind of hard to see, but if you look closely, you're going to have the cornea in the center of the eye anyway, right? So I'm just going to do like a half crescent moon at this point. I just want to make sure it's nice and focused for you guys. There we go. Okay, and then before I do anything else, I have to establish, come in, that there are light spots right here, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create those first. So see how I'm very lightly drawing them?
Can you zoom that in a little more?
This is as far as it goes.
Dang.
Oh no, it's not. Look. Haha.
The light. Am I supposed to believe you about the Easter Bunny now?
Don't go there with me today. Don't need extra sauce. Okay, so I've established my little light reflections, and then I'm just gonna shade around those. Can anyone tell me the proper method of shading? Is it back and forth? What was that?
Circle.
Yes, little tiny circles. Okay, as you go. And as I'm seeing, I take a moment and I look back. I need to round this out, the cornea, a little bit more. I'm gonna make it a little larger. Okay. When we look at the eye on this side, what are the edges doing? Right here.
The edge is just cut off by the top of the top eyebrow.
Yes, but look closely right here. What is happening right here versus right here?
It goes from light to dark.
Yes, it goes from light to dark, okay? So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to follow the edge of that eye with a dark line, okay? Pull it forward, and then I want you guys just to watch. Just watch really carefully. None of, like, 3% of you are watching. Thank you, okay? You're going to take your pencil and very lightly, you see how light I'm going? Circle motions to fill in this space.
Dang.
Whoa.
It's just thrown against the wall.
So very, very lightly. And on that back side, this part is also fairly dark. I'm going to come in and just round those out as well. Okay, now we don't want a hard line, because if we have a hard line, it's going to look very cartoony. Now, there are a couple ways that you can fix that. The first way that I always recommend, okay, is to take your pencil and on that hard outside line, circle motions and pull some in. This not only allows for texture to start to happen in your eye, but it also has more of a realistic feel to it than if we were to simply take our kneaded eraser, our blending stump, and blend with our blending stump. I believe a true artist does not need a blending stump, because if you get strong enough with your technique and your pencil, then you can blend on your own without using a stump. However, I understand that some of you might not know what I'm talking about when I say that, which is why we learn with a blending stump first. Now, once I feel like I have established a nice round eye there, I'm now going to take my 6B, and I am only going to focus on the cornea. I need that to be the darkest part of the eye, so I'm just going to go right over it. ready to move on?
Yes.
Botello, would you like to pull up the tutorials on YouTube and watch them as you go? Okay, will you do me a favor? In room 122, that's where the computers are. You can go grab one and then just go to our Canvas page. You want to do that? Okay, go to room 121. It's right across the hall and ask for a computer. Okay, from here, before I move on, I want to erase some of these lines I no longer need for measuring. I'm actually going to grab my actual eraser out because the kneaded eraser is not good for erasing these kinds of lines. So if you can go grab an eraser, I wouldn't recommend it. Sorry, I should have told you that earlier. You good? Cool, thank you. Because we no longer need these lines.
You graduated from wine school.
Woo! Congratulations!
Do I get a diploma? Not just yet.
You get brownie points.
I love brownie points.
Let's go.
You get the gratification of knowing that you moved on from a almost 2-week ordeal of lines.
Let's go.
Because that took forever. Okay, can we move on? I need everybody to look up though, because I have questions for you. Okay, right over here. Is this like pure white?
No.
No. So should ours be pure white?
No.
No. So we're going to come in and we're just going to mimic some of the shading that we see. There's a hard line here, so that's a little darker.
Using what pencil?
Oh yes, good question. Always use your HB when you're starting out, or the lighter pencil that you have. So once again, I have this hard line here. That's a little darker. They don't have any more. They're out? What the heck? Okay. You might need to come in, bro, after school. Yeah. Okay, right under here, we have more of a darker line, so we're going to pull that line up and over. Okay. And then we're simply going to, with very light pencil strokes and circle motions, pull value out of that eyeway.
In circular motion?
Circular motions.
How are you doing this so fast?
No, because I've been doing this for a long time. Now, if you look right here, you just want to focus on rounding out some of your value. So we just want to make sure that it curves the eyeball, creating that tear duct that we're looking for. The tear duct is not super pronounced, so we're just going to go in and work on giving it a little bit more information before we move on. Okay? And the same thing can be said for the opposite side. It's also dark. It's not pure white. It only hits more of a white when we get right towards the center of the eye. So we're going to do the same thing on this side. Okay, we're not going to jump with our 6B. We're just going to go with our 4B, and we're going to kind of create that darker line for his eyelid. So with my 4B, I'm coming in, and I'm just going to hug that line and create an eyelid that sort of hangs over and gives it some shadow.
Are you doing circular motion for that?
For that one, I'm mostly just going straight down and then going back and forth because it is more of a line rather than a space we have to shade. But the next step we're going to do, we are going to go ahead and do circle motions. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
What the heck, man?
I love when stuff starts to get like really creamy because we're like using our shading. I'm already like so excited about this. Can we move on to the next part or am I jumping too fast?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, cool. Sounds like we're ready. So before we move on, right here, this is really, really light, right?
Yeah.
Like really light.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna want to do is we're gonna come in with our 4B, very light. If you feel that you cannot handle going very lightly with your pencil strokes, you need to stick with your HB. I will be using my 4B, and I'm going to very lightly, with almost no pressure, come in with circle motions until right about here, okay? And I'm going to leave this spot white because in our image it is white. And I'm going to come to the other side and pull value in on the other side and leave that space open where it's white. I really wish it had better focus this close. It's really frustrating. Okay, from there, that hard line that we had over the eye, you want to take your pencil, go right on that line, and then you just want to pull value up. What that's going to do is it's going to keep your eye from looking cartoony. We want a soft transition from dark to light. Do not want a hard transition. Okay, and then if you notice, the eyelid above it is that dark line again. So we're literally repeating the step. We're just putting it up here. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go over it with my 4B. Add my dark line in. And then behind it, I'm going to start adding that shading. And again, if you don't feel that you can be light with your 4B pencil, please switch to your HB or your H.
So do we go all the way up to the eyebrow?
That's what I'm doing. So for this activity that we're doing, I will teach you how to use the blending stump on one side, and then on the other side, I'm not going to use the blending stump, and then you guys can decide which side you like the most. Because there will be a clear difference of how the drawing will look with a blending stump and without. Are we ready to move on to the bottom, or do I need to slow down?
Slow down.
Okay. What is happening?
It's junior high.
But is it behind us, or is it in front?
It's behind us. No, it's in front of us. It's in front of us. Same thing. It's behind you.
I don't think so. It sounds like it's going over there.
It's probably full.
Hang on. We are way too far away from the gym.
It's the gym or the cafeteria because it's that way.
But you cannot do the shading until you have complete sorting.
Mrs. Carter, yours looks so good.
I hope. I'm supposed to be teaching you, right? You'll get there.
So,
I feel like
what else is there again?
that's
Just
too
got
much.
prime caught up.
That's what I mean.
40. So you're going to want either a H2 and HB for your light, great, and then you need a dark one, either 7 or 8.
Because you're 40. So
Can we move on now?
Mrs. Carter.
What?
Can you come here really fast?
What do you need from me?
I need your opinionated advice.
I mean, I am opinionated.
I need your opinionated
Don't know if that's
advice.
what you want.
I'm trying to use big boy words, okay?
Okay. So, before you move on, you kind of lost the darkness within his eye. Right in here.
Oh, I gotta do that more. Okay.
But the other thing you need to do is your eraser. Does his eyeball realistically come to a point? Okay, because mine does not come to a point.
Okay.
The shading allows it to connect, but those two dark lines do not come to a point. Okay, before we move on, I want to make sure everybody sees this. These are still two separate lines. They don't come to a point. The only thing that gives you that impression is the shading, the light shading that has happened around it.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's still that light sliver that comes between those eyelids.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are we possibly ready to move on now?
Maybe?
Okay, well, I'll take a maybe. That's better. Okay, down below. So we have up to the eyebrow. We're going to start working down below. If you erase your reference, that line under his eye, we don't need those lines anymore, okay? You have an eyelid that hits right here and an eyelid that hits down here. At no point is there a harsh black line under his eye, right?
Yeah.
No point is there a harsh black line. So I'm going to make sure that I use my HB because I'm not sure how dark my hand is going to do this with. So with my HB, I'm going to come in and I'm going to create a soft curve that's a little darker right underneath the eyelid. You guys see that?
Yes.
But the eyelid is still there based upon what we have shaded beforehand. Okay, there's a little bit of a separation there. Then you will bring that line back up to then connect and start working on the lighter portion underneath. And that's not a fully white eyelid, so I'm going in with just very light textured circle motions of value right underneath. Because there still needs to be value there, but it's got to be super duper light. All of this darkness happens underneath the line we just drew. Okay, it happens underneath this line. So if you're ready, we can move on to that. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
Okay. So over here, you'll see that we have some shading that came up, and then it's going to circle back around. So we're going to do that here with this shading that we put down before.
Are you still using HB?
Yes, I'm still using my HB. Make sure you create a curve here. Okay, so we see this nice curve right here. We need to make sure we're mimicking that curve. Okay. And you're going to bring it over and connect. And then as we come down, so I have this much shaded, I'm going to take my HB and put it to the side and grab my 4B and start working on the under eyelid curve. So we're going to start with hugging the line. Right now I am using circle motions because I want this to be very soft. Notice how I'm pulling from the bottom. I'm going upwards. Okay. Right here seems to be a little bit darker. So I'm just going to come in with just a little bit of information there. And then I'm pretty much done with that space. Other than just readjusting here and there, which you can do if you would like. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so you're going to see me going back in probably multiple times.
This Carter, why does he look like he has a black eye?
Because right now, that's the only part we've even touched. Once we get all of this side in, it will not look like he has a black eye. I know.
Does this look good?
Yeah. How are we doing so far, guys?
I'm unhappy with
Apparently
my
really good.
abilities at the
According to
moment,
you.
but
According to
I
you,
will trust the
apparently.
process.
Okay, good.
He just looks like
Good.
he's
Your
getting
eye
beat up.
itself needs to be darker. You need a reference, bro. You need like your reference.
Miss Carter.
Yeah.
Does this look?
Yep. Okay, are we ready to move on from here? I would really like to zoom out because this is giving me a headache. Let's see if we can refocus it a little better. Okay. It's not great, but it'll do. Okay, from this point, we got to start moving on to the rest of his head. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and put in the skin tone for the back part of his skin, okay, before we even touch the hair, before we even touch his eyebrows, okay? So we're going to focus on the square portion.
This Carter.
Right here. What?
Are we not using the same stuff?
We'll get there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay. Is all of this white?
No.
None of it is even remotely as white as our paper, right? So what does that mean?
Shading.
Our whole paper, our whole section needs to be shaded. So I'm going to go back in with my HB. Okay? HB. And I'm going to start right up top. And I'm just going to go ahead and make sure that we have circle motions as we go. And ideally, we want to make sure that we get the whole head shaded. Please make sure you are using your circle motions, because if you sit here and you go this direction, and then you turn and you go this direction, what's going to happen?
It's gonna look
We're
weird.
gonna look wonky.
We're not going to have the right smooth texture that we want for his head. So you want to make sure you're using your circle motions as you're shading. And we never want to be like this. We never want to be going like this when we're shading. You always want to use the side of your pencil, because that's going to give you ample lead to work with.
And besides, it's just like a lot faster.
Yes. And if you notice, I am going over the eyebrow. That is completely on purpose.
So we shade the whole face, right?
Not the whole not the whole face, just this top square that we're working with.
Well, yeah, the okay.
So we have one nice light layer in first, and then we'll start to add in some of the shades that you see, the shadows, so we can really start shaping his head. Okay, how we doing? Can I move on or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
You're just a fast at pencil shading.
I am. But to be fair, this is my job, so it's like when you work at a pizza place really fast, like really often. You learn how to make pizza really fast.
Thank you, Mrs. Carter. I work at a pizza place.
I've worked at a pizza place. I've worked at a sandwich shop. I've worked at a donut place.
Huh?
Discount?
Yeah, I get a lot of discounts, and then when I'm on cash, I give people that I know discounts.
Where do you work?
Pizza Pie Cafe in Layton.
Oh, fun.
I know where I'm going.
One's way too much for me right now. Miss Carter, I have a D and a C right now.
That's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than an F, but still not great.
Yeah. Math.
What does he call it? A one-legged A?
What?
Yeah, one-legged A. We need to stop these one-legged A's and have
I mean, I've been doing this for
integrity
pretty much as
and
long as you've been alive,
excellence in
sir.
our academics.
I got a good 18 years on you. A good 18 years.
And I'm certain there's no way to.
I've been drawing since I was like 8 years old.
Poor
I've
guy.
been professional
He's
since
gonna
I
be
was like 15.
He will.
I'm more of a blueprint. He's
Which
gonna
is
go
totally
to
fine.
Okinawa.
Oh yeah, because I didn't end up getting a recording of the hair, so I want you to go in now and do the same thing we've been doing, where you learn how to just go from section to section. Okay. So go ahead and start working on his ear, get all of that in, and then I'll come check it. Okay.
Wait, so Mrs. Carter, kind of like that?
Yep.
Cool.
Okay. I think we'll go ahead and move on. So in his forehead right here, you see this little bit of indication of deeper value, right?
Right, indents,
Okay.
value.
Right, so we're going to follow that. We're going to start up
With
here,
what pencil?
still with my HB. We're going to start up in the corner here, okay? We're just going to add down a little divot there. We're going to take that. We're just going to slowly come down to right over his eyebrow. Okay, and then we got to stop right here. We got to create that like triangle shape. And if it takes you a couple of goes, that's fine. I would rather it take longer to put the actual shading in, because if we speed through this, it's not going to look good. So you're just refining, working on those values.
Was I supposed to go over the eyebrow?
Well, mine's right over my eyebrow. Okay, same thing over here. We've got a little bit of information here that then comes to the center of his forehead. So we're going to kind of just pop some of that in as well. And you're just mimicking the shapes that you see. Man. Chromebook cart? Room 122 has it right now. Sorry. If you feel like you have a spot that is clearly too sharp, Go back over it and pull value around it to round that shape out. Because again, we don't want any hard lines because this is not a cartoon. Okay, now that I can see a bigger picture, I'm noticing that right here on my eye needs to be darker. So I'm going to go ahead and start refining some other spaces. We're not going to move on from this section of the face other than to start the eyebrow here in a few minutes. So I'm going to take this time while we're all working individually and refine some of my space. One thing that people always forget, especially when they're learning and they're watching their instructor, they always forget that I'm using my reference to shade. So that means that you also need your reference to shade. It's just because my reference is up here and I'm using it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to see everything that I see on the projector. Because as much as we love having this overhead camera, it's not perfectly accurate. Okay, I'm going to give you guys maybe 1 or 2 more minutes and then we're going to go ahead and move on to the eyebrows.
This card has that.
It looks good. Mm-hmm. So here, let me hold mine up. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. If you feel that you went too dark too quickly, do you know how to fix your issue? You take your kneaded eraser, okay, you make sure that it is in whatever shape you need it to be, and you simply come in and you pull the value out, okay? We don't sit and rub it in, okay, because that isn't going to allow it to pull out safely. If you have used your blending stump, this method will not work because you have taken the graphite and you've massaged it into your paper. What we're doing right now is we've simply laid the graphite over the paper. Okay? So as soon as you use a blending stump, this technique will not work and you will need a real, regular eraser. You will not be able to use the kneaded eraser, which is another reason why I don't love blending stumps, but I'm going to teach you how to use them anyway. Okay, how are we feeling? Can we move on to the eyebrows?
No.
Well, actually, yeah.
Why can't we move on to the eyebrows yet?
Kind of struggle.
Okay, I'll give you like 1 more minute.
Okay, thank you. Very generous.
Because we only have like 7 minutes left.
Does that look okay?
Yes. Okay, looking good. Can't you draw?
I don't know, because the hair is supposed to be fluffier like that.
Right. So then what I would say is just kind of bow it a little bit more up here.
Do it.
Yep.
But I like sometimes black.
If you feel like you can go ahead on your own and do your eyebrows, you are welcome to do so. It's gonna be like 30 more seconds. And
Wait,
then
I have
we'll
a
move on.
question. On his eye right here, there's like a wrinkle. Is that just me?
Right here.
Yeah, there's like a wrinkle.
Right.
Can
So
we make that? Or is that gonna be
you
too
can. I
much?
mean, it would just be like very simple, like
Oh, okay.
super easy. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Eyebrows. With your 4B. Yep. With your 4B, you're going to work on individual strokes as we fill in this eyebrow. Okay? Now, below is going to be much darker than above. So I'm going to start below to give myself a nice solid idea as to how dark I can go before I move my pencil upward. And again, notice it's just individual pencil lines. If you feel for some reason your space is not getting dark enough, that's when you would switch to the 6B. So now that I have a good solid idea of what I want in, I'm going to go ahead and just refine it with my 6B. Make sure that I continue adding texture. Those eyebrows are full of texture. Like so. Lines. And directional lines. So we know eyebrows go this direction, but if you look really closely, there are hairs that start to pull up underneath. There are hairs that come down on top. All about direction. And remember, this is your first portrait in this class. You are not going to be masters because we've only been doing it for like 4 hours. It's going to be okay.
The thing that only
Every
this
class
took
period,
4
we've been doing it
hours.
for an hour.
This
I was
card,
just telling
thing
myself
of this
that.
only took 4 hours.
You're welcome,
Like,
by the way.
for what?
Thank you. Thank you.
Like, it's your job, bro.
I
Like,
know, but
thank
look
you.
how well you're doing. And we've only been working on it for 4 hours.
But like, thank you, Mrs. Carter,
You're
because
welcome.
you're like the best art teacher in the school, you know.
Well, you're very sweet.
Miss
Yeah.
Carter.
And
I
last
am.
year I would have really believed you, but Mr. Golden's pretty cool. Yes.
They look good.
I think so. I think you just need to kind of bring in with your eraser, come in and like pop in some highlights.
Okay.
So, Mrs. Carter, kind of like that.
Did you use the darkest color you
Yeah.
had?
No, I started with my middle pencil. I put everything in with my middle pencil. And if you zoom in, I don't know how well it will show up. There is no actual like circle shading involved. It's all lines. Different textures, different pressures. And then once I have all of those lines in, I came in with my 6B and just refine the dark shading underneath. This man has some saucy eyebrows.
Saucy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you zoom out a little bit? There's a neck. Oh.
Yeah, you gotta put your neck in.